Rangers, and welcome to Ranger Ruby YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about how the National Park Service works with communities. Let's go ahead and dive right on in. You might be shocked to find out how much more the National Park Service does other than running the national parks. The National Park Service cares for America's more than 400 national parks, and it works within almost all of her 3,141 different counties. The National Park Service professionals take their mission on the road, offering advice, technical assistance, recognition, and even cold hard cash to help communities across the country preserve their own history and create close-to-home recreation opportunities. The National Park Service is honored that they are invited into America's towns and cities to work with those who share their commitment to conservation, preservation, and recreation. And if you're curious about what the National Park Service is doing in your community because you don't think anything's going on at all, you're wrong. I'll leave a link in the description down below. You can search by state and then further by community to find out what's going on. The National Park Service values dynamic conversations and civic engagement that enhance the public interactions. They are joining forces with many Native American tribes, state and local governments, non-for-profit organizations, private citizens, and other partners to build trails and playgrounds, return historic buildings to productive use, revitalize neighborhoods, expand affordable housing, protect watersheds, recognize and protect local history, and introduce the next generation to stewardship opportunities and responsibilities. The National Park Service goes above and beyond just the immediate national park borders. They go into communities and help individual places. And the results of this work within communities are very real and very tangible. Working with partners, the National Park Service has leveraged more than $55 billion in historic preservation investment through tax incentives and awarded more than $5 billion in preservation and outdoor recreation grants. The National Park Service has listed more than 85,000 properties in the National Registration of Historic Places and designated more than 1,000 national recreational trails. The National Park Service can help you, and they can help your communities. The National Park Service can help you by offering to honor our nation's history at National Historic Landmarks, National Historic Trails, and National Heritage Area. The National Park Service also wants to conserve rivers, plan, build, and preserve open spaces and outdoor recreation areas. They also want to document historic buildings, structures, and landscapes. The National Park Service can also turn surplus federal lands into local parks and acquire supplies for federal buildings for community uses. And what I talked about last week, the National Park Service can highlight local history with teaching with historic places, lesson plans, or discover our shared heritage travel itineraries. The National Park Service has dozens of programs that you can get involved in your community, and I'll leave all the links in the description down below for historic preservation, civic engagement, and outdoor recreation programs. The National Park Service wants your civic engagement. Civic engagement is a philosophy, discipline, and practice defined by the National Park Service as, quote, a continuous and dynamic conversation with the public on many levels that reinforce public commitment to the preservation of heritage resources. In other words, the National Park Service is owned by the people, capital P, which means that you can have an effect and a change on what gets preserved. If you haven't, I highly suggest you look into the history of lots of local parks across the country. They have been created and preserved up to being national parks because people had a voice and made a difference. They wanted places to be protected, and so they became protected. This is an ongoing conversation that is happening actively across the country where national historic places and sites and natural places are being preserved with the National Park Service. You can include in that conversation too. Well, everybody, that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up and comment down below with your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Also, be sure to click that red subscribe button and little bell next to it to always know to post new videos. Thank you so much for watching again, and I shall see you next video. Bye!